There's a very specific place a lot of good coffee shops end up. And if you're there, you know it immediately. You're not struggling, you're not brand new, and you're definitely not doing things wrong. People tell you they love the shop, regulars have their usual seat. Someone says, "This is my favorite place," and you believe them because you can feel it when they're there. And still, the business feels tight. Foot traffic doesn't build the way you expect it. New faces show up, but not with any real pattern. The busy days repeat themselves, and the slow days feel heavier than they should. There's this quiet thought you don't always say out loud: we should be further along by now. That's usually when owners turn the spotlight inward. Is the experience strong enough? Is the menu exciting enough? Do we need to change something? But here's what doesn't get said often enough. At this stage, the experience is rarely the problem. A cafe can be genuinely loved and still struggle to grow, because being loved quietly is not the same thing as being talked about. Experience lives inside your walls. Repeat behavior happens outside of them. It happens when someone is deciding where to go before they leave the house, when they're planning their workday, when they're texting a friend and saying, "Want to grab coffee?" That decision isn't happening at your counter. It's happening somewhere else. And if people enjoy your shop but don't talk about it, don't save it, and don't plan around it, the love stays contained. It doesn't travel, it doesn't multiply. That's frustrating, especially when you've built something with real care. You didn't chase trends, you didn't copy what everyone else was doing. You created a place that feels grounded and human and intentional. Quiet love feels good, it's earned, it's honest, but quiet love also doesn't compound on its own. When a cafe is loved but not talked about, it stays dependent on routine, the same regulars, the same time windows, the same hope that word of mouth will eventually kick in hard enough to change things. And that's exhausting because it keeps all the pressure on you. You're always filling the gaps yourself, always wondering why something so good still feels so fragile. The cafes that move past this phase don't suddenly get louder. They don't get flashier. They don't change who they are. They get clearer. They're easier to recognize, easier to remember, easier to recommend. Customers know what the place stands for without needing a full explanation. They know when it fits into their day or their week. They know how to find it again and how to tell someone else about it without thinking too hard. That's what turns a good visit into a habit. Repeat customers aren't built on novelty, they're built on recognition. And this is usually the moment people ask, "Okay, but what does that actually look like?" It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about where your cafe shows up before someone ever walks through the door. Do people find you when they're deciding where to go, or only after they happen to stumble in once? Can they save you, share you, or point someone else to you without explaining the entire backstory? When visibility works, it doesn't feel loud. It feels obvious, like, of course this place exists. Of course people know about it. That's the layer most quietly loved cafes are missing. Not effort, not heart, just presence in the places where decisions actually happen. People come back to places that feel familiar and intentional, places they can describe easily, places that show up when they're making a choice, not just when they happen to pass by. When a cafe becomes part of someone's rhythm, it stops being a nice surprise and starts being a default. And that shift changes everything. If your cafe already feels good to be in, that matters. If people linger, return, and tell you they love the space, you've already done a lot of the hard work. You don't need to fix the experience. You don't need to reinvent what you've built. You just don't want that experience staying hidden. Because when the right people can find you easily, plan around you, and talk about you naturally, the love you've already earned starts working harder for you. That's the difference between being appreciated and being chosen again and again. And if you're in that quietly loved phase right now, you're not behind. You're not missing something obvious. You're standing at the point where visibility needs to catch up to quality. Once those two things align, momentum stops feeling so fragile.